Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. This week we're going to be talking about living with renovations, and we'd like to thank Andrew for suggesting this topic. The National Association of Realtors says homeowners doing their own renovations has soared the last few years. In a survey of homeowners, the main motivations were upgrading worn surfaces, finishes, and materials, adding features to their home to improve livability, and updating the look.
Okay. What is the difference between a remodel and a renovation?
The terms are both used for projects around the house, but in general, remodeling is altering the structure of your home, and it usually involves permits and contractors. When you're doing large projects like adding or removing walls, converting an unfinished basement into a living space, adding electrical or plumbing to new areas, you're remodeling your home.
Okay. What type of projects are considered renovations?
Projects like painting walls, replacing electrical or plumbing fixtures like a ceiling light or a faucet, refacing or painting cabinets, replacing tiles or flooring are renovations. Renovations are generally projects a homeowner can do to update or improve the look of their home, which can improve the resale value and how you feel about your home. The National Association of Realtors research group says after remodeling or renovating, 84% of homeowners have a greater desire to be in their home, 69% say they have increased enjoyment in their home, and 57% feel happy when they look at the changes.
Right. But did they survey people living with renovations during the project? Because I'm sure 100% of the people would say they just want it done.
Right.
Because remodeling and renovating is messy.
Right, can be.
So what are the main problems with renovations?
Odor, dust, and inconvenience are probably the top three problems if you're living in your home while you're renovating. When you're planning projects, spring and fall are usually the best time of year if you plan on doing projects that involve paint, stain, epoxies, or other products that give off VOCs. You want excellent ventilation while you're doing the project and while the products are curing.
Okay. What should you do if you are removing old paint?
The EPA says if your home was built before 1978, it's more likely to have lead paint. In one study, 24% of homes built between 1960 to 1977 had lead paint. 69% of homes between 1940 to 1959 had lead paint, and 87% of homes built before 1940 had lead paint.
Wow.
And if the old paint is in good shape, it's usually not a problem. Peeling, chipped, and damaged lead paint can be a health hazard.
Okay.
Sanding lead paint can be a serious health risk. Adults exposed to lead paint dust can suffer from high blood pressure, headaches, dizziness, diminished motor skills, fatigue, and memory loss. Even small levels of exposure can harm adults. Kids are especially vulnerable. Lead poisoning can severely affect a child's mental and physical development. So if you have an older home and plan on scraping paint on the exterior siding or inside on windows and trim, research how to test for lead paint and how to work with it. You can check out epa.gov/lead and then go to Lead Safe Renovations for DIYers, and they have a lot of tips. And besides breathing in dust, one article I read said lead dust from paint can be absorbed through the skin and contribute to lead exposure.
Wow, scary.
Yeah, wild.
What about paint fumes?
The National Library of Medicine says VOCs in paint fumes can lead to headaches, dizziness, visual impairment, and temporary loss of memory. Individuals with pre-existing respiratory conditions can have symptoms like coughing, chest tightness, and shortness of breath.
What are VOCs in paint?
They're volatile organic compounds, and there are a variety of VOCs that are used in paint. Some make the paint easier to apply. They can help control or speed up the drying time. They can help improve the leveling of paint for a smoother finish, or help keep the pigments and other ingredients blended in the paint. And when paint is applied to a surface, VOCs are released into the air as the paint dries.
So you should be using low or no VOC latex paints inside your home.
Yeah, most low VOC paint has less than 50 grams of VOCs per liter, and no VOC paint will have 5 grams or less of VOCs per liter of paint. The lower the VOCs, the better. Most standard latex paint can have around 250 to 380 grams per liter, so quite a bit more.
Yeah. How many liters in a gallon?
There are 3.785 liters in a gallon.
Why do we still use gallons? Anyways, back to paint fumes.
One thing you can look for is paint with a Green Seal certification. So this has to have low levels of VOCs. It can't contain certain harmful chemicals, and it has to provide adequate coverage and durability.
Okay.
So if you're living in your home and repainting, use low or no VOC paint where you can, but some paint or finishes will have high VOCs, like some tub paints or epoxies for refinishing countertops or floors.
Right. What can you do to reduce VOCs or paint odors in your home?
The EPA recommends scheduling indoor painting when weather conditions allow you to keep windows open during painting and for 2 to 3 days after painting to avoid exposure to paint vapors.
Okay.
Use window-mounted box fans to exhaust vapors from your work area. Make sure the fan can't fall out of upper windows. And if fans aren't used, make sure there's adequate cross-ventilation.
Okay.
Take frequent breaks to get fresh air and leave the area if you experience eye-watering, headaches, dizziness, nausea, or breathing problems. And stay out of freshly painted rooms for 2 to 3 days. You could wear a paint respirator to protect yourself from paint fumes. Reusable half-mask paint respirators have replaceable filters to reduce exposure to VOCs from paints, stains, solvents, and other products, but check the label for what they're rated for and match them to your project.
Right.
It's pretty amazing how well they work. I have a reusable half mask that I use for all types of painting. I recently refinished a bathtub with a 2-part acrylic paint that had a very strong odor, and I couldn't even smell the paint until I removed the mask, so they do a pretty good job.
Good.
But N95 masks aren't designed for paint gases or vapors. They're designed for airborne particles.
Okay. Is breathing in drywall dust dangerous?
If you're cutting and sanding drywall and drywall joint compound, it can create very fine dust particles that can irritate your eyes, nose, and throat, which can cause a runny nose, coughing, itching eyes, and a headache. In some people, it can trigger an asthma attack or a sinus infection. Drywall can also contain small amounts of silica, which can cause lung inflammation and lung scarring. If you're grinding concrete blocks, bricks, mixing mortar or concrete, you could be breathing in silica. If you're sanding wood or drywall or other material, open windows and have fans blowing outside in the area you're working in, and have the air conditioning and furnace off so you aren't blowing dust throughout your home.
Okay. Is wood dust dangerous?
The U.S. Department of Labor says wood dust can irritate your eyes, nose, and throat. Some people can have an allergic reaction in the lungs and cause flu-like symptoms, including chills, nausea, tightness of the chest, and shortness of breath. The National Cancer Institute says prolonged exposure to wood dust has been linked to an increased risk of nasal cancer and lung cancer.
Wow. So you should be wearing an N95 respirator or higher when you are creating dust.
Yeah, an N95 is effective against particles 0.3 microns or larger, and it'll stop 95% of airborne particles. The National Institutes of Health recommends a NIOSH-approved respirator marked N95. Some of the disposable masks you'll see in hardware stores or home centers will stop dust, but they're not designed to block small particles generated when you're sanding or sawing material. So check that the mask is marked N95 or higher.
Okay. You should be wearing safety goggles too when you're sanding.
Yes.
What are some top-rated N95 mask companies?
3M, Soft Seal, and Milwaukee. And in hardware stores and home centers, you're going to find a wide selection of 3M masks. And 3M also makes top-rated paint respirators.
Okay. What are some tips for living with home renovations?
Don't start electrical or plumbing projects late in the day. You may need to run to the hardware store to get more products.
Yeah, any plumbing project generally takes 4 trips to the hardware store.
If you live in a townhouse or condo, find out if there's any restrictions when you can be making repairs and using power tools.
Mm-hmm.
Some associations have a time of day that any repairs that are creating loud noise needs to stop.
Right.
Create a space to move items from the room you're working in to another room, garage, or shed.
Okay.
You can have a garage sale or donate items before you start a project to make more room. Take off your shoes when you leave the work area if you're cutting or sanding. You can get control sticky mats for outside the work area to help you reduce dust from being tracked through your home. So these are sheets that you step on, and it pulls the dust and debris off your shoes.
Nice.
Which is kind of cool. Plan your projects before you start them. How long are they going to take? What's the weather going to be like? Do some projects need the window open? So the time of year can be important for some projects.
Right.
Stage the projects so your whole house isn't a mess, and work on one area at a time if possible. You can use plastic sheets to block off doorways to isolate an area, or you can use spring-loaded poles and plastic sheets to create an area to contain dust and debris. And you can get dust barrier systems with reusable zippers or magnetic entry strips.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool. You can put plastic over a doorway, for example, if you're working in a room, put this zipper over the plastic, pull up on the zipper, and then cut through the plastic with a razor knife, and then you can open and close that plastic just like a doorway.
Right.
And some top-rated dust barrier companies are Zipwall, it's ZIP, capital WALL, and Reusip. It's RE-U-ZIP.
Cool.
If you're remodeling your only bathroom and the project's going to last a few days, you can get a portable medical toilet. It has an aluminum frame with a seat and a removable pot. You can also get a portable toilet seat and lid for a 5-gallon bucket, and there are indoor-outdoor camping toilets. They have a plastic base and a detachable pot with a seat that sits on top.
Okay.
So at least you have access to a toilet. And there's also portable showers and camping showers. Some of these look like a tent and you can't see through them. And some of these portable showers are big enough so you could put your portable toilet inside your portable shower.
No way.
I saw quite a few that are fairly inexpensive. Some started at like $50.
Or you could just go to a hotel.
You should use power tools with dust extraction to help reduce dust in the air. Clean up floors and debris routinely so you aren't tracking it around the house. Use windows or the garage to move debris out of the workspace if possible, and that's going to help reduce dust and dirt in your home.
Okay.
If you're doing projects and have the furnace or central air on, you can close off vents when you're creating dust. Use cardboard, plastic, and painter's tape over the vents. Check and change the furnace filter often. Use a pleated filter to catch dust and small particles.
Mm-hmm.
Use a low MERV rated filter during the project if you're creating a lot of dust, like a MERV 6. That way it doesn't get blocked too fast and put stress on your furnace.
Okay.
And then you can change to a higher MERV rated filter after you're done for better air quality, or keep a low MERV filter for better airflow.
Okay.
If you're renovating your kitchen and you don't have use of your sink, you can use a laundry wash tub or a small tub for washing off dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Use paper plates, plastic cups, and utensils so it's easy to clean up. And you can set up table and chairs outside or in the garage or a basement for eating to free up more space. And if you don't have your range available, think about recipes where you can use an outdoor grill, hot plates, a microwave, a slow cooker, or an indoor grill.
Okay.
Have drop cloths or tarps down and just outside your work areas, then take them out and shake them off routinely. If you're dragging out drywall, cabinets, or fixtures, have drop cloths down to help protect your floors.
What are some top-rated drop cloth companies?
Chicago Canvas, Trimaco, it's TRIMACO, and Cover Grip, it's COVER, capital GRIP.
Okay. Back to the tips for living with renovations.
You can use painter coveralls when you're sanding, sawing, or painting, and then remove it before you leave your work area to reduce dust and debris from getting tracked through your home.
Right.
Wet sand as much as possible when you're working on drywall to reduce the amount of dust. And you can add a longer flexible gas connector so you can move a gas range out of the way when you're working in your kitchen if you need to get behind it. And you can add an appliance-rated extension cord to move your refrigerator around or move it to another room when you're working in your kitchen.
Okay. If you change the gas connector to a longer length to move it out of the way while you're remodeling, you should change it back to a shorter length?
Yeah, in most cases, most manufacturers recommend about a 5-foot length, but in some areas, you're restricted to even like 3 feet. So check your local codes. You don't want that gas connector too long because you could possibly kink it when you push your range back.
Okay. Should you be using a regular vacuum to clean up, or should you use a wet-dry vac?
A wet-dry vac is going to handle large debris. So if you're cutting up drywall, sawing flooring, or sanding, and they have a large filter that's not going to get clogged as fast as a standard vacuum. And you can use it to suck up liquids.
It's part of the wet part.
Right, so it's pretty cool.
If you're using a wet-dry vacuum, should you use a bag with it?
Most of the wet-dry vacs I've used don't come with a bag. All the debris just sits inside the bucket, and then you just lift off the top with the motor and dump it out into a garbage can.
Right.
And if you're doing a lot of sanding that's creating fine dust, get a HEPA filter for your wet-dry vac.
Okay. What are some top-rated wet-dry vac companies?
Craftsman, DeWalt, Rigid, VacMaster, that's VACMASTER, Workshop, and Karcher, that's KARCHER.
Cool. Do you have anything else to add?
Use plastic to isolate your work areas if you're creating dust or working with products that release VOCs, and make sure you have proper ventilation during your project. Clean up routinely and stay organized, and it's going to be a mess for a while, but you're going to be happier with your home.
Eventually. Let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our ebooks, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, books 1 through 18 on Amazon.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com, and you can follow us on Instagram, Fix It Home Improvement.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.